You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the December 7th, 2022 meeting of the Michigan City Tree Board. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the December 7th meeting of the Michigan City Tree Board. Laura, may we have a roll call, please?
James Mellowitz.
Here.
Tim Warner.
Here.
Laura Henderson. Here. Mary Lou Murphy. Here. Betsy L. Sesser.
Here.
Did I halfway?
Yes, you did fine.
Dahlia Segas. Paul Prespolinski. Okay. I don't have much room for you folks to sign because I kind of had to write this on the fly because I forgot it.
All right. I believe we do have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
Okay. We have next on the agenda approval of the minutes from the November 2nd meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look at those minutes?
Yeah, I had a couple of things if I can jump in, if that's okay.
Please.
Yes.
Okay. Well, James did the remarkable feat of being both present and absent at the last meeting. And I know that you were present, so that,
I was there, yeah.
yeah. So what, do you want me to make notes on here and give them to you, or what should I do?
That's fine.
Or just no,
That would be fine.
Okay, and let's see. Well,
There
under,
was public present.
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Under public present, Augustine was present, and he's referred to later. And then I'm gonna jump over to new business because I consider it the most important. Betsy was noted that she
Yes,
had been approved
correct, yes.
as our new board member.
Happy to be here.
And
Welcome.
very happy to have you here. But then under, I guess under I put it under trees, under planning and tree city designation maintenance. I had made several notes of things that had gone on about, submission to the Arbor Foundation and some details.
New secretary, if possible.
And,
And she had none of that.
okay, and, I
Also
guess,
under tree giveaway, she didn't have any of that.
oh, right, under the tree, yeah, that's right. The information on the tree giveaway, which I think, well, I know I sent out to y'all my draft minutes because I misunderstood. I thought when you asked me to take notes at the last meeting that I should write up the minutes, so I did. So that's how I had those compared to the other. That's what I've got.
That's great.
Mick?
So we've got some updates to add in there.
Okay, another thing, actually, she did put in about the subcommittee, but she said,
Oh,
Dahlia suggested to revise the form. I think
right,
we
right,
should
right.
say that it was the agenda.
Agenda.
right.
And under public comments, Augustine did have a public comment, which should be recorded.
Right, under public comments.
Yes.
I'll wait for Annette, I'm sorry about that. And I've got, the details under the draft minutes that I had taken on those things.
I move that we accept the minutes with the revisions that Mary now has.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all very much. All right.
Okay, as long as we
Secretary
have
Treasurer's
the,
report, claims.
The minutes here, you mentioned that we need to locate the tree inventory done by the city pre-COVID. I think Dominic sent that out. in an email to us.
Okay.
If you look back for his email, we should find it.
I'm sure, where do you have that under?
That's
In the minutes.
your note,
Yeah,
right there.
okay. Oh, we need to locate the tree inventory done, okay.
Yeah.
And that's been located,
I think that's what Dominic sent to us.
okay. But
Yeah, I
after
think
the
we
meeting, I
have
mean,
that.
I think I noted it. And then,
Forgot.
happy to say, it arrived.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
I think I forwarded that to you, actually, Mary, when I found it, if I remember correctly.
Prior to this meeting?
After that.
Okay, yes, yes. So I mean, I think it's a valid comment that we,
Inventory, and I
Okay.
think I sent it to you.
yeah, so we need, I mean, it's valid that we need to locate it.
Sure.
And you did.
And I would just note on my agenda, there's a mistake. Claims for August, it's a little old.
Yeah.
Claims for November.
Oh, I see that, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
All right, John Hancock's on this.
Squeeze them.
Okay,
Tim, this is a little out of order, but it just occurred to me that since Clay resigned from the board, we don't have a vice president of the board. In case you can't make a meeting, it would be that person that would run the meeting.
thank you.
Do we want to think about getting somebody in that role?
Yeah, well, that's one thing that I wanted to bring up is, I think we need to do an election of new officers for this coming year, right?
Didn't we just do that?
Because this is the last meeting of the year.
It is the last meeting of the year.
So I don't remember if we did it the last meeting of the year or the first meeting of the year we did.
Maybe we should pick our slate tonight and vote on it.
Okay. Yep. So anyway, let's
Add that
work
to the
that in
agenda.
under, yeah. Under possibly comments from the board or new business. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up because that was going to be one of the things I wanted to talk about.
I mean, you're usually here for every meeting, but I'm sure there'll be somewhere you're not gonna be able to make it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go get my toothpicks. All right. Are we good with the minutes now?
Oh. I think we did not approve September's minutes because that was a non-quorum meeting in October.
That's correct.
So we need to get September's minutes to the next meeting for approval.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't have a quorum, so we couldn't
Yeah,
approve,
that's
we
right.
couldn't take official action, so we couldn't approve those minutes.
Okay.
So those can get resent out again, I
Yeah,
hope, or we
send them out
can
again.
all agree to look at them and then vote on it at the next meeting.
All right. Are we good with the minutes? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on to item 4 on our agenda. Secretary Treasurer's report and claims for
November.
not August, but November.
I'm a little confused because I kind of thought I would see the Beecher invoice reflected in that, but I
It
don't
was
see.
not.
What I do see is a number that I don't understand.
Which is which number?
Is it 161? It's where I would, it's where I would have expected to see 76 something.
Printing and advertising would probably be where we'd have the Beecher 433, and there's nothing under that category. So we should have had, there was a $76 bill and it should have been in there.
76, yeah. And I don't know what the 161 is.
161 is the salaries of the board members and FICA. That's usually what we have every time.
Oh,
We have the salaries and
That
wages
doesn't
at
make
the
sense.
top.
What category is it in?
It's under
other
current,
services?
current month transactions, 161.
Would it be?
No,
Employee
it's up
or-
at the top, 150.
Yeah, so you have 150 and then the 1148
Oh,
is the FICA,
okay,
which makes it the 161.48.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
But, I don't see, was that submitted? Talia probably would have submitted it, right?
I don't know.
The bill?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know either.
okay, so that
You
needs to
could
be.
follow up on that, yeah. So it should show up on next month's.
Okay, I vote for approval.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to any communications. Have we received any communications?
Well, I got 3 emails, all from within the board. One from Tim. I think everybody got this.
Oh, yes.
Maybe you did.
Oh, yes,
Mine-
I did
okay,
get that.
You did. And I thought this was very interesting.
Very
I'm just gonna
interesting, so I'm gonna forward
recap
to
some
everybody.
highlights. The USDA Forest Service did a study which found significant reductions in non-accidental and cardiovascular mortality among humans living nearby planted trees. Planting trees dramatically exceeds the cost of maintaining them. And trees are very good for mental health. USDA analyzed data from a project in Portland, Oregon between 1990 and 2019, during which 3 decades, a group called Friends of Trees planted nearly 50,000 street trees in Portland. The good thing is they kept records of where and when each tree was planted, and so that generated the data that the USDA could coordinate with health data to come up with their findings. The results reveal lower mortality rates in neighborhoods with more trees planted, and the researchers report this negative association is significant for both cardiovascular and general non-accidental mortality, especially among males and anyone above the age of 65. This association grows stronger as trees grow taller. Therefore, preserving large trees that already exist is even more important for public health. Not to mention carbon sequestration.
Indeed.
So,
Yeah, I thought that
Very
was a very,
interesting.
very interesting article to forward and get out there. So thank you for printing that out and reading that.
and Dahlia sent me 2 emails which refer to grants, so I think I'll bring up the details in those.
You think you'll bring up the details
When we get to grants.
when we get to grants?
Yeah,
Got it.
sorry.
All right, any other communications? Anyone? Hearing none, we'll move on to the committee reports. Outreach, education, anything from the immediate committees, which you don't really have any set up?
Oh, yeah. I would just reiterate, winter time is the time to do any pruning on your oaks. I personally wouldn't do it on a day like today, because when the weather is up in the 40s, I see insects flying around. And that is the reason for not trimming oaks during warmer weather, because when the sap comes out of the wounds, insects may spread oak wilt, which will kill your oaks real fast. So,
Good to know.
yeah,
Wait for below freezing.
I would do it below freezing.
Well, generally, we wait till late October, November, and if the tree is no longer green, then it's considered safe to prune.
Okay,
But I never prune in wet weather
okay.
because it ruins my tools. But, so if you have a sunny day and it's 45, I think it's
It's
okay.
okay,
to prune.
okay.
And it can ruin my hairstyle too. Wet weather,
Thank you, Betsy.
yes.
Now, the agenda committee has a report.
Yeah, and I sent out to everyone, I think, didn't I?
You sent it. I made a few copies.
Oh, good, I
made 3
did, I
copies
did
anyway.
too, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I got that.
I don't think I did either.
Thank you.
Either that or I just didn't see an attachment to email.
Okay, so this is a template for a meeting agenda.
Yeah, we got together right after the last meeting, our subcommittee that was approved at that meeting. And went through the agenda, especially to look at like number 6, committee reports, kind of cleaning it up and
Together, right.
combining things, and so on. So yeah, it's a template, the first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pretty straightforward. And then, 6, the committee reports. So
Looks good.
we looked at calling, instead of various verbiage that's been, I think, added on over the years, education and outreach, parentheses, tree ID labels, etc., and monthly farmers market. Public relations, which would be Facebook and press releases, etc. Arbor Day, tree giveaway, grants, annual tree planting, Tree City designation, because that takes it's an annual request, and Arborist Search Committee. So those are the committee reports, is what we came up with.
I like it. I like having the little logo at the top
I
of the
do.
agenda.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we can get that on our minutes as well. But yeah, so I like the logo up there. I think we took off fundraising.
Yeah, we do.
Goals, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
We don't do any fundraising, so.
no. And like,
We could.
we could, but it could be under, public relations or education and outreach, those kinds of
Or
things.
grant application.
Or it could be added.
Or it could be added back if it happens, yeah. And then 7, arborist report, and so I think we pulled out the things that related to, the arborist
Our should be doing, yeah.
forester, and, so purchasing and tree planting, planning department, I think like.
Coordination.
Yeah, coordination with the urban forest plan maintenance, city park trees, city street trees. So those are the categories, that we suggest for 6 and 7. And then the regular stuff, old business, new business, comments from the board and public.
I like it.
Awesome. Kind of clean, all right.
Very good.
Anybody
I
have
move that we
any?
adopt this.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the new agenda format, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Here's our new agenda format. Thank you
Good.
very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's skip a few items here and get to the grant applications and maintenance discussion. Do I have any information, any discussion for grant applications?
Well, at the last meeting, Dally was sort of asking for information from people, and I sent, I think, some photos and some information. And I think, I don't know if everyone sent other things that she was requesting, but I think that's where we were at with the grant application.
So she'll have more information when she's available to come to the next meeting,
Is that the
probably.
grant application or is that the Tree City designation?
Yeah, you know what? You are right. I'm getting that mixed up with the Arbor Foundation. Because I thought that was a grant submission to the Arbor Foundation, but no. So yeah, so what I had, we need to include qualifying expenses, and Clay provided a list to the board last month. Park Board had spent $26K, and we need to spend $2 per Michigan City resident to qualify. And volunteer time is also noted, like planting time, farmers markets, NERC and NERC planting activities.
I promised that I would get all those numbers together from our time that we spent in all the volunteer time, and I have not gotten that together yet. So my apologies to the board for not getting that, but I will have that for our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Well, our next meeting will be after the deadline.
Oh, is it?
It is.
When's the deadline?
Deadline is the end of the year, I think.
I think so. I think that's why she was
So I
asking.
think you need to call
I
Dahlia.
will call and talk to
She
Dahlia.
is out of state right now, but I mean, you could certainly leave a message.
Now, when is she back?
She's going to her son's wedding, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you had the numbers and info, just forward it on to her.
I will get it to her by the end of this weekend.
Awesome. Okay, Dahlia sent me a couple of emails. I think she may have sent it to all of you, I don't know. But she sent a couple emails about 2 different grant opportunities. So this is kind of chopped out of some emails. At the last Trail Creek Watershed Partnership meeting, Catherine mentioned the potential for grant money. And this is Catherine Balkema, who is a grant specialist with Lake Michigan Coastal Program. Specifically funding for a 2020 cycle that needs to be spent by June 2023.
Okay.
She has offered to facilitate the application process. My original thoughts, and this is Dahlia, were some type of tree ID initiative and starting a junior birding or similar program, which that'll be for Audubon. And I know we have ideas for the 2023 environmental extravaganza. Okay, and this is from Catherine. Thank you for facilitating this, Dahlia. At this time, we have 2 pockets of funding available. One needs to be spent by June 30th, 2023. The other will be available until June 30th, 2024. The application process would largely consist of collaborating directly with me to compile the information our federal sponsor will need to review. I would anticipate that the full process of application review and approval would take approximately 3 months. I will gladly answer any questions. So, we need to cook up some ideas.
So, who would be granting the funds?
That would be federal funds through the Lake Michigan Coastal Program.
Okay.
And it's Catherine Balkema, who is over in Chesterton, who would be the person, the point person to talk.
Can you give me a ballpark as to what kind of funds might be available?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just told you
A little,
about everything I know. So,
What do we have to use them for?
and that, I think it's educational outreach.
But we did talk about tree IDs, like using QR codes and, on labels, where we'd have, on trees, like in certain parks or in certain public areas, with a QR code, but then also probably just like a name, as well, so they have an immediate knowledge there, but then a QR code. And I mean, we could put those on lots and lots of trees. And I also like the idea of like nice signage too, if like maybe Washington Park and the harbor area and City Hall right out here. Once we get rid of the calorie pears, we might want to actually
invasive.
let people know what trees are out there. Those are some places we could put them.
I was going to say, where I live over at Tryon Farm, we recently did some identification of some of our larger trees. And the committee that looked into what the signs cost and where do you get them, they put off the idea of the QR code because somehow it cost more, it was more complicated to do. And they settled, and they didn't want to nail a sign onto a tree.
Right.
So we settled for a sign that was sort of on a stake, and the sign itself was no larger than 4 by 6. It was more like 2 by 3. And I was concerned about the size because you don't want to see a lot of signs. And the signs were black with white lettering, and they're really good looking. And they just have about 3 lines of information, the common name of the tree in the larger letters, the
Scientific Latin
name,
names.
and then there was one smaller line that was just kind of an interesting fact about the tree, like
Okay,
this is our state tree,
yeah.
that sort of thing.
Pink flowers in the spring or things like that.
Well, yeah, or a certain kind of animal or bird is attracted to this tree. And I wish I had a picture of these signs, but I could bring one at the next meeting, or if you,
Yeah.
Pictures
or I could maybe, how about if I email you guys a picture
that would be great.
of one of these, some of these signs, and I'll find out what they cost.
Yes.
Because, you know, once this committee did their work and they really were very selective because they wanted a good looking sign, that could save us a lot of labor.
Yes.
If you're interested in a sign like that.
Yeah.
And so they're noticeable because you can, if you're walking, you know, they're not at eye level, but they're more like 4 feet, I don't know, 3 feet. They're easy to read.
Uh-huh.
So,
Well, I like the idea of QR codes, and I think we could also, do some kind of combination as well. I like the idea of the common name, the Latin name, and, something
well,
about it.
ask them what they found out about the QR.
QR code, yeah.
Yeah. And it could be a matter of, if you're gonna be getting, 100 or fewer, and then versus doing it throughout the city, it could be,
Well, would the QR code focus in on a certain source of information? Like for an oak tree would be a whole page of information about.
Yeah, that's the thing. What does the QR code go to? Does it go to the Arbor Day,
yeah.
something,
And then
go to
Well,
their
then
website
you
or
have to have
something?
the
Yeah.
rights to use that information.
That's only if we were using it for
Arbor Day would
profit.
Probably,
There's no money use in it. It's just
Arbor-
referencing.
Arbor Day would probably be happy to have,
Encourage it,
Yeah.
sure. I think they're set up, yeah.
but we need to check into
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, well, I'll start by just showing
Yeah,
you
fine.
what we have and what they cost.
Yeah.
I think we bought about 25 of them.
Okay,
And because you don't have to identify every oak tree. But some of the more significant trees are good to know.
Yeah, and that's all in the common area there around Tryon Farms. Is that in a
We
trust
put it along our
roadway coming in? Yeah.
roadway.
Okay.
So none of them are hidden and none of them are too close to anybody's house where you'd be, snooping.
So that's like the homeowners association or something did that, or the,
Well, we have another group called the Tryon Farm
Right.
Institute, and they're more focused on the natural areas. But we've had tree walks before where we walked around and said, this is this and this is this. And, I have a lot of books that help me with that. But this is permanent information, and sometimes the people just want to know, what is this?
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have to know,
yeah.
and then if they have the name, they can look it up.
yeah.
Okay, photos of tree IDs and cost. Well, that'll help us get started anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to pick that same one if you don't want to.
Okay, here's another one. Arbor Day Foundation Community Tree Proposal. And they don't call this a grant, but it sure looks like a grant to me. Welcome, thank you for your interest in working with the Arbor Day Foundation. The purpose of the Community Tree Proposal Form is to gather relevant information about your upcoming project to share with potential supporters. Whether you are sharing opportunities for natural disaster recovery, environmental justice, youth education, community engagement, employee or corporate engagement, overall canopy growth, or other general tree needs, we invite you to complete the form below. Please note, a project submission does not guarantee funding. We do our best to advocate for your proposals, ensuring the need for trees in your community. So it sounds like they're acting as a facilitator to connect you with funders who would be interested. So, project site info, impact story. Please tell us about your project by covering the following 3 areas with specific prompts included below. Community need. Where is the community and why does this community need trees? Has there been natural disaster, redlining, disinvestment, equity issues? If so, please explain. Percent of tree canopy lost, percent minority residents, community median income, etc. Please include information on a canopy assessment if one has been conducted. Community impact. Beyond giving trees in the ground, how will these trees impact the future of the community? If this is a distribution, specifically which communities are being targeted for the giveaway? Which communities do you expect to impact through the giveaway? Please discuss what kinds of trees will be planted and why. Specify if they are fruit-bearing. Is this planting part of a specific program or initiative within the city? Explain. Please describe your organization's maintenance plan to ensure these trees survive and thrive, etc. So,
It sounds more like if there's a natural disaster or some kind of other issue like that where we've lost a lot of trees because of some kind of act.
well, that's one thing, but I mean, we've lost trees just through attrition that have not been replaced.
Well, and if you go around Michigan City, I notice that some neighborhoods need
Yeah.
more trees than others, and they tend to be, as far as I know, the minority neighborhoods.
Well, and would,
That's not a hundred. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know
I could
we're
be
getting
wrong
like
about
1,000 trees in, so do we know like are these saplings, or then how would they get in the ground?
Laura, what's the deadline for this in particular?
I don't see any deadline.
Okay.
I looked all over for a deadline.
So it
And
can
it's
just be done
ongoing, maybe.
anytime,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
Maybe
Everyday
I'll-
Foundation does the, I think if we're going to do all that work, we might be talking about next year,
Might be.
project for next year.
Yep.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of work to do for,
My question is,
Volunteer
do we have the
board.
bandwidth to do that?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
particular
so-
application, given that we're already planning on doing that other tree application to actually get trees to plant next year.
Yeah.
And we're going to be giving away the seedlings, so
Yes.
I like holding that in our hip pocket,
Yeah. But we have this
a
to
good
consider. And I printed this out because I know you've spoken. This is not very good, but this is Greenwood Cemetery. And there's a lot of non-green spots in it.
there are a heck of a lot of non-green
Yeah.
spots in it now,
So,
compared to when I moved to town in '99.
and that wasn't even that long ago.
You know, it
So,
was a forest then, and it's
Are
an open
they,
field now.
are they wanting trees there?
Well,
good question.
that is the question.
And who's responsible for maintaining that space?
Cemetery Board, Michigan City Cemetery.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
this part is owned by Michigan City, and this is managed by the cemetery board, but it's the same thing, right?
Right.
Now, there's a spot up here that is owned by Sinai, and this part down here is owned by the Gary Diocese.
Yeah, that was St. Stan's, I think, if I remember right,
Okay.
back in the day, yeah.
So, Michigan City is not the only entity,
Okay.
but yes, Sinai is really pretty small, but it's there.
well, how is it that the cemetery issue comes up?
As a public space that is way down in trees.
Okay, and you're suggesting this as one of those spaces.
possible places to
Location for
put trees.
trees, yeah.
So this would be something that we should consider for our tree planting next year as a place where we might put all of them or
some
some
of them.
percentage of the
Yeah.
trees.
I will say, I know the Michigan City Sanitary District is interested in trees for the Carwick remediation site.
Okay,
They would need to be smaller trees since it is a former landfill and it does have a clay cap, so more like the gray dogwoods, things like that that we've had before that are shorter, smaller, lower canopy trees. They're not really looking for huge,
Sure.
poplars. And
Well, that's good, because I know, we do have these 1,000 trees coming in, and so we're gonna have a lot of extra trees.
Yeah, Mike Milanovich with the sanitary district was gonna talk with his engineering group and operators to see what they planted there. They had the community tree grant originally, they gave them trees for it 5 years ago or whatever. A lot of them haven't survived. And they were gonna get a list together of trees that didn't survive and get that to me to see if we can at least replace those under either our sapling giveaway or I'm trying to remember how long the community tree grant information request was for following up. Was it 3 years? You need to follow up on the
I
trees.
think it's 3 years.
So,
Do they know what happened to them?
I don't think they do. I don't think anybody ever followed up
Well, yeah, if,
them. Yeah.
They did
you know, newly planted trees have a high mortality rate, especially if they're not watered
Yeah.
regularly. And when they were planted has a big deal. If you plant in the summertime, you're
It's
You're
not gonna go,
toast.
right. And that could very well be what happened there at
Yeah.
Carwick remediation site, just because of the way the schedules got messed up there as far as
Think about
the work they had to do. They found out they had to do a lot more removal of the waste that was in the old landfill and correcting the banks on Trail Creek and that before they got really going on the landside development, so.
Well, I like the idea of choosing a spot or an area for tree planting. I mean, it was fun driving around town on October 1st, but we would have much more time to plant the
It was
trees.
more directed.
Yes, and it would, make for great publicity, because we'd be all working near each other.
It would also be easier to coordinate if we have an outside group that assists with
Yes.
planting, like the Boy Scouts or something. That would have their own location.
True.
I think it's a great idea, Laura, that we should keep this in mind for planning the next community tree planting. As the Carwick site and/or the cemetery site, and perhaps
Other sites as well. I mean, the park department as well has talked to me about trees because they took the remnants from our last tree, and I still don't have that list. I don't have the final list of those locations, so I need to get that. I know they planted them in Washington Park. I know they planted a few out at Patriot Parking, but I don't have a list of where on the park they are.
but they all got in the ground.
They all got in the ground, yes.
Good.
All, I think it was 14 remaining trees.
Do we want to reach out to the cemetery board?
I was thinking I need to go to one of their meetings.
I think Sue Webster was on that.
Sue Webster?
Yeah.
On a slow evening?
I don't even know when they meet.
Maybe they're on YouTube as well.
But they've got a following too.
I think Sue was newly on the cemetery, I believe.
They deal with a lot more money than we deal with, I'm sure.
Well, the wonderful thing about cemeteries, if there's a wonderful thing, is trees that are there, they don't get knocked down by cars and human interference quite as often. So some of the most magnificent trees are in cemeteries.
They get nicked by mowers though.
Well, yeah, we'd have to possibly put up some protection for that.
Yeah.
But
So mulch
It's-
is really important.
mulch is important, but as far as expected length of life, they'd probably do better in a cemetery. And cemeteries a lot of times have maintenance people that will water.
Yeah. Well, the trees that have vanished in there were basically trees, I would imagine, that were there from the early 1800s
Just
when the
aged
cemetery
out.
started. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's not been any plan to replace them as they age out. So, but they're also, I can't remember what was it, probably about 10 years ago now, that maybe even a little more, when he had the big microbursts come through, and I lost a bunch of trees in my yard across the street on Cool Spring. There were probably 15, 20 trees just within the 3 or 4 houses in our area that lost huge trees.
Well, those activities, even though they were a while ago, for that, that could be an activity, a natural activity that we could say we've lost trees, to microbursts.
Yeah, that would qualify for that
Absolutely.
grant.
I know in Brooklyn, Greenwood Cemetery, back in the 1800s, became very popular as a picnic place.
Yeah.
Because it was full of trees.
Oh, yes.
And
in
it was
Chicago,
the
too.
inspiration for Prospect Park.
And in my original hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, there's a lovely old cemetery that was a
So-
community hotspot
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they used to
So
promenade
cemeteries
there and
Sure.
picnic, yeah.
they're classical for trees, so.
Greenwood Cemetery, the roadways around there are still a jogger's delight.
Yes.
Down through there. So.
That's even more so if it were tree shaded.
Yeah.
All right, where are we now?
Are we at purchasing and tree planting?
Purchasing and tree planting, yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of, that's the invoice, the bill we have?
Invoice $414.46, which we need to vote to approve.
The invoices from,
This is from the saplings.
from Valonia State Nursery.
That we're gonna give away in the spring.
From the
Those are the ones-
DNR?
Right,
Yeah.
those are ones we'll get, yeah, from the
Okay.
state tree nursery that
This is for the last one, or
this is for buying
Coming up.
what's coming up. Yeah.
it's coming up?
For Arbor Day,
Yeah.
Okay.
Do
And
I have what's the amount again?
$414.46.
And how many total trees? I don't remember. Was it 1,000?
1,000.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good bargain, actually.
Yeah, thousand saplings, 1,000
White
trees for
pine,
that.
white oak, black cherry, tulip tree, sweet gum, shagbark hickory, hazelnut, common choke cherry, gray dogwood, and buttonbush.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the invoice for payment?
I move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's pay the invoice. And let's get our trees this spring. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
And I would say, this order was made, I think, 2 weeks after they opened sales, and a whole lot of things were already out of
Yep.
stock.
Yeah.
So we need to jump on this. We need to decide to do this in September and hop on it as soon as they open
It was
in early October.
very fortunate that I was coming back from Lafayette
Yeah,
one day, and I said, well, I'm just going to go in there because NDOT has a program to redo the ADA ramps at the tree nursery. So I wanted to check on the ramps, and I thought I'd just stop in the building and say, hey, when is the order blanks coming out? So that's already open.
Surprise!
All right, I need one. right
one
now.
question, does this include delivery?
no,
No,
No.
no, we don't go to Bologna. They bring them to Jasper, Pulaski.
yeah,
Okay.
So one of us, last year it was Tim,
yeah, and I'll
Before
do that
it was
again.
me.
Yeah.
but Tim has a better vehicle for it. Especially now that
Especially
we're
for
getting
1,000.
1,000.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, because what we have,
I think I only got 400.
I think we had 700 last year, if I
Yeah,
remember right.
yeah.
Yeah, so another 300 for.
So the message to the public is that if anyone in the public is interested in ordering seedlings from the DNR, they should do it sooner rather than later, because
Yes,
many of them
because
are
they go-
already out of stock.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but you have to get 100. You have to get a
Minimum.
bunch of
Right.
100. Yeah.
Right.
Should we pull some of those like gray dogwood, maybe even buttonbush, some of the for the Carwood Cheney
Well, that's what.
immediately before we, I mean, there's so many.
Yeah, what we'll do is I'll get the list of what the park department may want, a list of what the sanitary district may want, a list of what cemetery board may want. I don't know if they'll want saplings at the cemetery. They might want bigger trees like community tree, which are, as we all know, much older trees that are probably easier to care for than saplings. And just see what anybody wants before we start handing out to the rest of the citizenry in town. So
Did you say chokecherry?
yeah.
The deer love that.
So that will be for a place that deer might not be as prevalent, which is what, Planet Mars now?
Yeah, right. Well, at the side of the road, I mean, if you don't want to have end up with a large tree right at an intersection, some of those shrub-like things are great.
All right. Okay, nothing really with the planning department at this time. Nothing urban forest plan maintenance. Tree city designation, I know Dahlia will have some information. One of the things that I've talked a couple of times with the mayor's office about is getting the Arbor Day proclamation, which we had the year
Right.
before. And it keeps falling through the cracks with me and falling through the cracks with Chris Yagelski and that. I just talked to him a couple of weeks ago and he said, yeah, I'll work on that with the mayor. And then I didn't pester him and he didn't call back. So that's got to be done by the end of this year, right? That we need that in for this coming year's tree city designation app, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
So I'm going to
Get it done.
make sure I can get that. The mayor's on board with it. I mean, I talked to him about it a long time ago and it's just one of those things that
Yeah.
I need to just follow up with. And
Maybe see about, seeing if he's okay to, kind of pre-approve that.
that's
Mm-hmm.
for
You know,
next year too, yeah.
Every year, like ongoing.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
Is the day the last Friday in April, or is it?
Well, we usually do it the first Saturday in May.
May, yeah.
But there's gonna be two events. The
The library.
last Saturday in May is gonna be the Sustainability Commission's Earth Month extravaganza.
Oh, is that what they do it the
And
last
it-
Saturday of May?
That's when we're doing it this coming year.
Okay, because it was the last of April, I think, last year, wasn't it?
I meant last of April.
Okay.
Thank you. So it's April 29th.
So close.
And instead of the library, it's gonna be at Krieger
Oh,
at the
outside?
park.
And it's the environmental.
Probably in and out. And Earth Day, Earth Month extravaganza.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll give away trees there. And also at the first day of the farmer's market, which is the first Saturday in May.
So Kruger Memorial Park, but there's no indoor place.
Yes,
is
there is indoors. There's indoors and outdoors.
Okay, I'm
There's
just
this big
confused here. Is
hall
it
there.
the last Saturday in April or the last Saturday in May? 'Cause
Last Saturday
Last
in
day in
April.
April is this
April 29th.
Earth Month extravaganza.
Oh, okay.
The very first Saturday of May is the farmer's market giveaway tree. So whatever we have left from the April Earth Day celebration, like we did at the library previously last year, we'll have those remaining trees the following week at
And that's May 6th.
the farmer's market, the very first farmer's market of the year, May 1st, first Saturday.
It's 2 Saturdays in a row.
Yep. And it was a very dry week between those last year, so hopefully it'll rain
And
more that time.
about when do the trees get picked up?
A week before.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Few
Yeah,
days
shortly
And
before.
they last a week or two?
Yeah,
Good.
as long as someone is idiot enough to stand out there every night and water them like I did the other night, and every morning before going to work and that, yeah, they were just fine.
Great.
In fact, by the time we got to the following Saturday, they were leafing out, a lot of them.
Oh, wonderful.
They were pretty much just bare-looking sticks on the end of April, but a lot of them had leafed out for the first Saturday in May at the farmer's market.
Well, I'm definitely down for this Earth extravaganza, April 29th. So if there's a committee for that, put me on it.
All right.
Excellent.
Okay, we don't really have the funding. Anything else under committee reports in general? Hearing none. Old business, forester arborist job. Questions, read job description, next moves. Who has any comments,
Yes,
questions?
I have a few.
Betsy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I printed this from the website, and I was trying to figure out, well, what is it that is making it hard to fill this position? And I don't think it's the money. I think it's something else. And I looked at a couple of other towns of similar size. The one that stood out was Valpo. They're not too different in size from Michigan City. And looked at who does a similar job in Valparaiso and what is their title. And they have a Department of Public Works there, and they don't necessarily have a title of an arborist, but they do have, I think, a city forester or a forester. And the salary wasn't listed, but the qualifications on the second page. First, there's a lot of duties. I didn't see a list of, a heading for qualifications, but it gets to qualifications in the middle of the second page, and it says baccalaureate degree in biology, forestry, or related field. Does not mention certified arborist. You don't have to have a college degree to be a certified arborist. There is a national test to pass, so you have to be, very literate, and you have to pass every section of this test. And it's skill-based, but it's also knowledge-based. And I was thinking, it would be nice to have someone with a baccalaureate degree in biology, forestry, or related field. But, there's a lot of very skillful people out there that don't have a college degree. And, I have my first college degree was in biology, and I tell you, I don't think I learned anything about trees with a BA in biology.
Yeah.
The only person I know who has a degree in forestry is now working in public relations downtown Chicago, related field. So I wonder if instead of a requirement, if that degree would be preferred. But first we need a heading that says qualifications or requirements in the middle, because otherwise everything is dumped into duties. And I would like to see that requirement be a certified arborist. And you can make it preferred, but there are certified arborists. People get certified all the time. And it's not just, you don't just call yourself that. It's a national organization. It's the International Society of Arboriculture that does the certification. And they're actually international, and they do a lot of continuing education. You have to do 30 hours of continuing education every 3 years to maintain your certification. So it's not easy or cheap to be a certified arborist, but it's not going as far as having a college degree.
What's the actual title of that position for them in Valparaiso?
Are you looking at the one for Michigan City or
This is
Valpo?
Michigan City.
That's Michigan City's, yeah.
So what I'm trying to ask about is, first of all, do we as a board have the ability to refine this?
We've found it very difficult to refine that with
Yeah, not really.
the city and mayor's office.
Okay, well, I'm sure we couldn't change the salary. That's not my concern.
We were lucky to get that.
I'm just saying that many certified arborists I know do not have college degrees, and I'm not sure that the college degree is the best qualification for this.
Let me ask you something. Do you have time to try to set up a meeting with the mayor and talk about this?
Yes, I do.
Get a
We'll-
fresh face, fresh
Well, would
voice.
it be more effective to meet with head of personnel, head of human
I
relations?
don't know.
Or maybe both?
Yeah,
of them?
Yeah,
something here to this discussion. Betsy, I think your ideas are really good. I appreciate them. We've had a number of discussions previously on the board about the title and that our dissatisfaction with it being called as an arborist position in the first place, when really the duties are broader than that and more in the forestry, urban forestry.
Now, I agree with that. I think calling it a city forester or just forester,
Yes.
Yes, urban forester or city forester is what we'd like to see.
Marketing the position,
Right.
I think that would be more effective. But as I understand it, from talking with Chris Yagelski in the mayor's office, in order to make these or any changes to the job posting and the duties and such would require, if I recall my conversation with him correctly, would require possibly require amending the ordinance that establishes the position. And so that really the person to consult with would be the city attorney or the council's attorney about how much leeway we would have on that. And I think it becomes a legal question from the ordinance standpoint that establishes that. If is that, do you remember?
I don't recall, yeah, and I don't recall exactly what.
But it's not a personnel question, and
Yeah.
it's not a mayor's office question, it's a legal issue.
But wasn't it changed to arborist without an ordinance? So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how it changed.
There was the ordinance, and then there were these changes made, and I don't think there was an,
I don't recall how it was changed.
I don't know.
Can I?
so I think it might be a discussion with
Yeah.
HR.
If you have something as far as the title of the position, Mick, yeah.
I won't go any further than that. The forester position was always titled as the forester's position. I don't know where the arborist came in. I think that was in discussions with the mayor, put that in because it was kind of, when we did hire, Betsy, first, let me introduce myself. My name is Mick Wolf. I've had 20 years as board president for the tree board here.
okay.
And I have hired past foresters. Okay? And what you are saying here is spot on, okay? We would actually, there was many other categories that we looked for in the position. It wasn't so much the college degrees, but the board would also give the prospective person a year after they're hired to get their arbor certificate.
That's reasonable.
So that's how we
written down somewhere?
hired past foresters. We only had truly one that we hired, the first original one that had a forestry degree. And he was right out of school. And that was brought into us by the state grant paid for his inception. And as the years went on, they deducted money and the city brought in money. It was over 5 years, it was it would be deducted 20% every year until it was fully funded by the city. I think we've gone through 5 foresters within the last 20 years. So,
Within the last 5
it
years.
there was never an emphasis, it was all preferred, but there was never an emphasis on the education role other than having a college degree. That was kind of the main thing. And then the other type of, let's say, I'm looking for the best word, but what the other people brought to the table, not just so much the forestry stuff, but writing grants. People talking to communications with the outside public was also, that's,
I would call that the skill set.
yes, skill set. That's 60% of the job is the skill set.
Right.
40% is looking at the trees outside and going and getting, the monies to.
Sure.
But regardless of how we define the skill set or how we define the qualifications for the job, I think what needs to be clarified here, Betsy, is the procedure for changing this description. And if you have the time and the inclination, I think a chat with the city attorney would be.
I do, but maybe what I can do for the next meeting is I could take this and not rewrite it, but just tweak it a little bit.
yeah.
And then with this group's
Yeah.
approval, if you think that what I can, just a couple of tiny things, I could
Yeah,
represent you at a meeting.
email us your tweaks and we'll say, hey, that looks great. And
There
and then
are a couple
set up
more
a
that I
meeting.
would make, for example, the ability to operate an aerial lift device, a bucket truck, is that a duty?
Does that mean drive the truck to get it there? Does that mean
That means
be in
go
the
on
bucket
the bucket.
itself? I don't know what
Now,
that
there's
means.
a lot of young arborists who don't have any
Yeah.
chance of having that
Any experience.
experience.
That's a very good point.
But if you, it would be something like getting a CDL that you'd have some days
Yeah.
to catch
I mean,
up with.
we at INDOT even give people who hire onto a position 6 months to get their CDL or something like that once they start.
120 days.
But I think the big question, what I'm confused about all this time later, is who do we approach about these changes? I don't think it is necessarily the attorney.
It sounds like at this point it's the city attorney, at least Amber LePage will at least get us going in the
Why
right
the attorney?
direction. That's what they told you, right?
I think the place to start is it says T. George, send applications and resume
HR.
to tgeorge@emichigancity.com. Is that still the person that's?
That's an issue, yes.
See, it makes sense to me to approach HR and say, these are the changes that we'd like, and then HR can say,
You gotta
I have
talk to the
authority to
attorney.
make them, or
I don't, right?
here's who.
Amber, the attorney, is actually in that same office.
Okay, but instead of busting into their office and saying, hey, first we decide,
Oh, sure, yeah.
and then maybe tgeorge@emichigancity.com can guide me as to
How to go about getting
who I
these
would
changes.
talk
Present it to,
Yeah.
right.
and with,
Good idea.
no, I have a lot of time to do stuff like this.
All right.
Especially in the winter.
Here.
Because I'm planting trees and doing other stuff in the spring and the fall.
Good. Very good.
Okay, well, this is something I'm very interested in.
Well, excellent.
I would like to help Michigan City get their forest.
Thank you. We definitely need that since it's been getting close to 2 years now, almost, that we had not had one.
So,
years.
That long?
Let me ask a question. When you do need one of these skillful people to go out, let's say assess a tree, should this tree be removed or should we just prune it or what? Because we get this all the time in the homeowners association where I live. There's people that just have this sudden fear that this tree is going to fall down on my house, and what we don't want to do is cut down trees that are healthy
Sure, healthy trees,
and
yeah.
not
Absolutely.
dangerous.
Correct.
So right now, who makes that assessment?
Right now, it's being reactive instead of proactive.
Right.
You're having others without the expertise making decisions.
Yeah.
Do
That's why it's
you,
being reactive.
does Michigan City contract with any arborist companies?
No.
Don't we? I thought they had like a contract with Davy tree or something if trees are
Yeah, yeah.
falling.
They have John's Tree Service,
John's, is that what it is?
but that is another reactive because it used to be as there's many different issues right now. The licensing of the tree companies here has fallen off. Okay? The funds, they're not getting it.
Yeah,
It's
and
the Wild West out there. You
Yeah.
got guys working out of their trucks. But when you bought a license and you had your necessary, you were put on a revolving list. And as trees, this was back years, as tree jobs came up, you were notified, and if it was an emergency, you got out there and got it. If it was a project type thing where it was a big job, then everybody got a packet for the bids and everybody placed their bids. It was open and it was free bidding for the insured, licensed contractors in the city. And it was any contractor. It didn't necessarily be the city people. It was the tree man out in LaPorte or
Okay.
there was many
Well,
in the regional area.
There are a lot of municipalities that do it that way. But what I found is if you call a guy and say, or anybody else that's in the business of removing trees, for example, and you say, hey, does this tree need to be removed? Is it sick? Or should we leave it for a few more years? Should
let's
we look at
remove it
next year?
because I make money removing trees.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I
that's
got, yeah.
why having a city forester who does not have a profit motive
Right.
to take down the tree.
Right,
Take the first look at it.
yeah.
Well, the other thing I was gonna mention is what I had heard, and I don't know if it's still in effect, but Vector Control was also fielding calls that were coming into the city,
Vector,
city arbison.
Vector Control and the Forester were one in
One
the city.
position, right.
Oh,
And now,
Yeah, that's the reason why we couldn't keep any here. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you, Mick. All right, new business. We already did the
Yep.
approval of claims, so
Yep.
any other new business? Any other new business? New business, hearing none, move on to comments from board members.
Hi.
Go ahead, Mary.
I'm not even gonna say anything about Birdtown this
Since you
time.
jumped in right away, go for it.
I did reach out to the Girl Scout troop leader. They had planted, I think, just one tree during the drought.
Over by the YMCA,
Yeah, so
right.
I kind of said, hey, let's look at getting some fresh trees. When we get them in for Earth Day, and then I volunteered to speak with them or go on a nature walk with them to identify trees and birds and so on. So I think that anyway, I just wanted to mention that, follow up with that.
What relationship do trees and birds have?
Come on, man.
well, I would like to offer my services if anyone wants a tree walk, or what I find.
Super.
What I find in almost any neighborhood I've been in, there's someone who has a tree. And they don't know, they think it might need something, or they're not sure, but they don't even know what kind of tree
It is.
So I'm happy to go up and make a free consultation, especially if it's someone like, an elderly homeowner that doesn't want to call Joe's Tree Service or whoever. They don't want to get a charge just to have someone look at the tree. So I'm not in the business of removing trees.
Yeah, good to know. Okay.
I don't get up on an aerial lift. And I don't operate a chainsaw. But if all they want is a certified arborist to look, I'm happy to do that.
Great.
My opinion is always freeze.
Okay, tell the camera.
Okay.
Well,
That's-
contact the tree board if you need a
some tree
consultation.
advice.
This is probably not the best time of year to do that, but
Very good. All right, anything else, Betsy?
That's all I
Okay.
have.
Laura? James?
I have nothing today.
All right. For me, I guess the comment would be discussion about our officers for the 2023 year. So since we won't be meeting again until after the first of the year, for January 1, we need new officers. So I'd like to,
As I recall, last year, the way that we handled this was, I was appointed to come up with a slate, discuss with members and come up with a slate for voting, and then that was presented to the board at the next public meeting. Unless you want to do it differently.
I would like to make sure that we have it done for the
Yeah,
beginning
time
of the meeting.
constraints may not allow.
Yeah. So at this point, what I'd like to do is ask if there are any nominations for president of the board.
I
Nominate
Tim
Tim Moore.
I nominate you.
Second.
We all nominate you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay.
No, you don't.
The ayes have it 4-1.
Thank
All right.
you, Tim.
Since you're welcome. How about nominations for vice president? Is there a nomination for vice president?
Mary Nell. I nominate Mary Nell.
Mary Nell, we have Mary Nell Murphy. Are there any other nominations for vice
What
president?
would the duties be if you are not able to be at the
The
meeting?
duties
and I
will
would
be
run the
when
agenda.
I don't show up every time now that we have a vice president. No. Yeah, if I'm unable to make it, yes. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations?
Well, before I make that nomination, I guess I should
See if there's someone else who wants the position.
see, yeah, and also there was discussion about secretary. If Laura wants to stay as secretary.
And that would be
Mary
the next.
We would love, you're trying to get all the
This
bases
is what
covered.
a slating committee would
Sure.
typically do. Okay.
I'll remain secretary.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
great.
fantastic.
So then I do nominate Mary.
Okay.
Okay.
Vice President.
Any other nominations for vice president? Hearing none, do I have a motion or a vote for, I got to vote for Mary Nell. All those in favor of Mary Nell as vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Welcome aboard,
Wow.
Madam Vice President, 5-0. And secretary,
I move that Laura Henderson retain the position of secretary.
I'll
Second.
second. All those in favor of Laura being secretary, vote. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Secretary. There's our slate of board agents for next year. President, Vice President, Secretary. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
that's the slate, and then we formally vote in January.
This is it.
I think we just did.
This is it.
I think-
We just did, because January 1 they'll all take
Be in
effect.
place.
Yeah.
Okay.
And probably, I don't think anything needs to be done as far as swearing in for that, because we've already been sworn in.
I think just to the board.
But so Mary,
We're good.
you know that the primary role of the vice president,
To attend funerals?
as in the
Yeah.
U.S. vice president, is to always be ready.
Yeah, I thought it was just the funeral thing,
In
so.
case he has to go to the dentist.
Yeah,
You know
which
what
I will.
else is good about having a vice president?
Uh-oh.
When we fill out these grant applications,
Yes.
to have a few more names.
Other names available. Yeah.
And they, they like to see, men and women involved, so not just, so I think that would bolster every application that we
I
have.
feel a little better about it.
All right. Also, the emails, when I see articles and things like that I've been sending, does everybody appreciate that?
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
if
yeah.
not, I
Oh,
could
yeah.
just print them out and bring them to the meeting, but I figured it was good, once I see them, to send them around, so then, like you did, we can kind of discuss any points of those articles. And I'd like to see anybody else who has anything do the same, just send me things like that on tree-related articles and showing the benefits of trees.
And there's that article, that particular article that we discussed earlier is going on our Facebook
I
page.
think you put it up there, didn't
I
you?
may have.
I think you
Okay.
did,
I
yeah.
don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Great.
very, very good piece of research.
Yes.
Yep, I was very impressed when I started reading the article. So okay, this I'd be able to share. Okay. Any other comments from board members? Hearing none, we'll close the board member comments. We'll move to comments from the public. Other comments from the public? Any comments from the public?
No, not done.
Hearing none, that takes us to our next meeting of January 4th in the next new year, 2023 at 6:30 PM here. Do I have a motion for adjournment of this tree board meeting?
That's all.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody, and I